All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're deconstructing a metric that is absolutely crucial for CMA candidates, inventory turnover. If you've ever stared at a balance sheet and wondered exactly how hard a company's assets are actually working, you are in the exact right place. We are going to break down what this metric is really telling us, and more importantly, how you can use it strategically.
Here's what we're looking at today. Defining inventory turnover, unpacking the formula, interpreting the results, industry benchmarks and context, and finally, exam prep and key takeaways.
So, starting things off with Section 1, defining inventory turnover.
At its core, this metric is an activity ratio. What does that actually mean? Well, it measures how efficiently a company manages its inventory. Basically, it's telling us how many times a business manages to completely sell and replace its stock over a given period of time. It's a fantastic window into operational efficiency.
The math itself is straightforward. Cost of goods sold divided by average inventory equals inventory turnover. But here's the thing. The specific inputs used here are chosen for a very deliberate reason. We aren't just taking total sales and dividing it by whatever inventory happens to be sitting on the warehouse shelves at year-end.
Which brings us nicely to Section 2, unpacking the formula.
Let's look at the numerator first. Why cost of goods sold? Well, remember that inventory is recorded on the balance sheet at its cost, not its selling price. If we use total sales, the profit markup would skew everything. So using COGS completely strips out that sales markup, matching up perfectly with the valuation of the inventory in the denominator. And as for using average inventory, that simply smooths out the natural ups and downs in stock levels that happen throughout the year.
Now, how you actually calculate that average is a huge deal for your exams. For a standard business with steady sales, you just take the beginning balance, add the ending balance, and divide by 2. Easy, right? But, and this is a big one, that simple 2-point average is completely useless for a highly seasonal business. For those companies, you've got to average all 12 monthly balances to get an accurate denominator.
You might be wondering, why go through the hassle of monthly balances? Well, picture a retailer that makes, say, 70% of its sales in November and December. If you only look at their inventory on January 1st and December 31st, you are going to completely miss those massive inventory spikes that happen right before the peak seasonal rush. Averaging the months captures reality.
Moving right along to Section 3, interpreting turnover results.
Okay, so you've crunched the numbers. What do they actually mean? Generally speaking, a high turnover ratio is great. It implies strong sales or that you're running a really tight, lean operation. A lower turnover, on the other hand, usually means you might be tying up way too much precious cash in excess stock. Or worse, you're holding on to obsolete stuff that nobody wants to buy.
But hold on, because there's a huge exception here that catches a lot of people off guard. Imagine you're looking at a company and their turnover suddenly drops from 23.4 times down to 20.7 times. On the surface, that looks terrible, right? It feels like an immediate red flag.
But let's actually look under the hood at the underlying data. Sales, which we see through COGS, actually went way up. Average inventory also had to go up to support all those new sales. Mathematically, dividing those new numbers gives us a downward trend in the turnover ratio. But the company is thriving. Turnover declined simply because they're in a phase of rapid growth and are intentionally bulking up their inventory to meet a surge in demand.
So the major takeaway for your analysis is this. A dropping turnover ratio during a period of rising sales is totally normal. It's actually a strategic necessity. It is absolutely not always a sign of poor management. If you're selling more, you usually need to stock more, and that math can temporarily drag down your turnover rate.
Let's pivot to Section 4, industry benchmarks and context.
You have to remember that the nature of the product dictates what a good ratio even looks like. You literally cannot compare a grocery store to a jewelry store. Milk and fresh meat spoil, so a grocery store has to turn its inventory over dozens of times a year. Meanwhile, a uranium mine or a high-end jewelry store, they might be perfectly healthy turning their inventory over just once or twice a year.
This brings us to the Goldman rule of financial analysis. Ratios are pretty much meaningless in a vacuum. Whenever you're tackling scenario questions, you have to ground the ratio in the reality of that specific industry, the overall economy, or the company's historical performance before you jump to any conclusions.
And finally, Section 5, exam prep and key takeaways.
All right, let's lock this in for exam day. First, don't fall for the trap of assuming low turnover automatically equals bad management. Second, you need to know how this connects to the broader working capital picture. Because inventory turnover is the denominator for calculating days sales in inventory, a lower turnover mathematically increases the number of days your cash is stuck in the warehouse. And since days sales in inventory is a huge chunk of your operating cycle, a slower turnover stretches out that entire cycle. Oh, and one more thing. Always watch out for those seasonal distortions when you're calculating your averages.
So, I'm going to leave you with one final thought to test your instincts. If a scenario shows declining inventory turnover, what else absolutely must you check before you assume the company is failing? You've got to check the sales trends and industry benchmarks. Because, as we've just seen, sometimes a dropping turnover ratio is exactly what a massive success story looks like on paper. Keep the context in mind, and you will absolutely nail these questions every single time.